Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Carl Churchill, who's a dynamic entrepreneur, tech innovator, and co-founder of New Payment Innovation. With over 2 decades of experience in the communications and payments industry, Carl has built a reputation for driving meaningful change through disruptive technology.
I think our sort of ignorance almost is a bit of a superpower in businesses like this, because we don't come and say, oh, at 20 years at this big brand, we did it like this. Our naivety really is sort of, we just think, well, why can't we go this way? You know, some people go round and round and we go straight through, and you think, actually, that's an opportunity just to do different things in the market.
But his story doesn't stop there. Carl is also a passionate philanthropist.
It was an obligation, not something that we felt like we should do. It was something like we had to do. We felt like it was an obligation, really. It's
a wonderful husband, a life-changing member with Cordial Children, and most recently, co-founder of an exciting new distillery venture with his beautiful wife, Nicole.
I think we both have incredible respect for each other. I think that's definitely the most important thing. You have to respect the ability of the other person for it to work. If you don't, then it won't. It works for us. It doesn't work for everyone, but you know, we've done 24 years of living and working together.
Whether it's leading teams, building businesses, or giving back to the community, Carl's journey is one of purpose, ambition, and heart. And I can't wait to dive into his story, explore the lessons he's learned along the way, and hear what's next on his incredible path. Well, welcome to the show, Carl.
Thanks, Anita. Great to see you. Thanks.
Great to see you, and thank you for coming along here with Nicole today. It was lovely to see you both. Carl, you've just had such a fascinating journey, your entrepreneurial journey. How did it all begin?
I'm very young. I think I don't come from a family of money or wealth, and in fact, you know, my father was a policeman, my mum was a care worker, so we don't come from a big history of business owners. I always had admiration for my grandfather, my mum's dad. He was Irish and came over, a very typical Irish family, very big. He had seven children, of which my mother was one. He worked 3 jobs to put food on the table, and he was just an incredible hard-working person. So, you know, you see him growing up, and I thought, you know, I understand to try and succeed in life, you get as much out as you put in. So from very early on, I decided I wanted to do something with kind of IT and computers, but we just didn't have the money to go and buy a computer. They were £3,000 or £4,000 at that time. So I got a job with a family friend working on the markets. I was 11. I used to get up 5 o'clock every Sunday, sometimes a Saturday as well. And we'd work on the markets in Birmingham, selling sweets and cakes and biscuits and all sorts of things that you should never really eat. And it was a great education, really. I think I owe a lot to that period of my life. I worked there until I left school, sort of 15. Every weekend I would be doing stuff for them. And it was an opportunity to kind of engage with different people, all sorts of different people. It was based in Stratford-upon-Avon and the Bullring. Now, for those that know the Midlands, you know, Stratford-upon-Avon is sort of, you know, very kind of well-to-do really as an area, and the Birmingham Bullring is incredibly diverse. So I had the opportunity to meet some very, very different people, and I think that shaped my ability to talk and communicate with different people, and also sales and numbers. You know, incredible kind of, still now I'm obsessed with numbers. I love them, and I think some of that comes from the market. I left school at the age of 15. I was kind of the younger person in the year, and as well as doing the market, I'd also been working in a car spares place after school, earning some money so I could buy these computers and start teaching myself. And when I left school, it was quite ironic, really. I started a business supported by another Birmingham-based business. I effectively took a pay cut. I took a pay cut because I was earning more on the market and doing these the sort of computer stuff, and then started my first business at 15 in the dot-com boom.
15, yep. Incredible.
I did my GCSEs at school. I had a business meeting, so I didn't go and pick up my results. I had them posted to me because I didn't have time. There's even a story of my mobile ringing. I had a customer ringing me. I was in a maths exam. I had to quickly silence it just so they didn't pick it up. And that I never. It's a bit of an odd place. I never really worked for anyone in my adult life. I've only ever really worked for myself. Always been in business. Never really worked a job. And straight away from 15 was often running in a kind of crazy environment in the dot-com boom. Not very realistic, but it was a bit of a baptism at that age to sort of start in business. And very soon we were kind of growing and employing people. It was a incredible shock to the system, but very, very exciting as well.
Carl, I didn't know that about you. When you started your business so young, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of managed to navigate the boom and bust of .com. I sold that business when I was 17, so I was still very, very young, and then went again. I can't honestly say I couldn't regale my first million at 17, so it certainly wasn't. I think I sold. It was a challenging business with some challenging partners, and I sold it for enough for the bus fare home pretty much, and a bit of lunch on the way back. But I learned a lot in those 2 years, and the value was definitely more than money. Learned a lot around the way to do business and the way not to do business, I think, in fairness. And then started again with a couple of partners, people that worked at our suppliers. And I would say that was our first real business, really. Certainly for me, it was my opportunity to do something that I could control. And that business was, I bought my partners out over time. And then I met Nicole. Nicole was a supplier to that business. So first I was the customer, and we used to chat and talk professionally. And then we decided actually to put those two businesses together. So we were together working for a long time, and that's 24 years ago now. We've been working together ever since, and have gone through all of those ventures from those very early days 24 years ago when we put our businesses together. We've done our telecoms, our fintech ventures, and the distillery venture now. All of those we've been doing together ever since. And
that's amazing. And I'm sure the burning question is what kind of things do you need to in order to work with your wife? What's that like?
I think there's so many people that tell us, Anita, that you just, how on earth do you do it? I think I would either kill my wife, kill my husband, one of us would be dead. And you think I think we both have incredible respect for each other. I think that's definitely the most important thing. You have to respect the ability of the other person for it to work. If you don't, then it won't. The second thing as well is we're very clear on our roles and responsibilities. So, we both know what we're good at. We both know what the other person is good at. And we there are areas that we combine, so marketing, finance as well, but there are also very areas that are definitely the other person. So, I don't get involved in people. She is always, Nicole is always focused on the recruitment and the culture and all of that stuff, where I'm very much on the sales side. And we stick in those swim lanes, and we try not to cross or intervene too much in each other's stuff. And it works for us. It doesn't work for everyone, but, we've done 24 years of living and working together. Yeah. The work-life balance is a challenge because it sort of dominates both of those areas. But we have a good life, and we enjoy working together, and wouldn't have it any other way now. Neither of us have independent ventures. Everything we do is for both of us always.
I love the way you have a huge adoration for Nicole in everything that you're doing. And these words of wisdom, I think, are really important because it doesn't work for everyone.
No, it doesn't.
But where it works, it can work fantastically well.
Yeah.
And you can thrive, both of you can thrive in so many ways. And your lifestyle is enhanced by just being together, I think.
It definitely is. And I think the bit that we found encouraging for each other is starting a business is difficult. There are lots of people online that will tell you it's easy, and amassing wealth is really easy if you just follow these steps. And often those people have amassed wealth by telling you how to amass wealth. They don't really, they've never done what they're asking you to do or telling you to do. Business is difficult. It's very demanding, and success is very demanding. I think having your wife by your side, and for Nicole having me by our side, is we keep each other going. There's so many times when I've really been struggling with just the level of work that we've got on, and Nicole will be there kind of keeping me going and focused and on all the stuff that's important. And you do have to make sacrifices, particularly in new businesses. When you're building it, it is a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week thing. And if you have a partner that's sort of outside of that mix, it's not that they won't appreciate it, but they're not living that same challenge that you are. They don't understand the importance of having to work late or get up early or work a weekend or sacrifice a holiday or all of those things that you do when you're growing a business. So for Nicole and I, it's an opportunity to both keep each other on, kind of going, but also be sympathetic to the challenges that we're both facing. Sometimes we both need to work late, sometimes one of us needs to work late, but we just support because we're in the business together. We know the importance of the things that we do as well.
Such valuable advice. I love it. And Avnish and I, honestly, we can so relate to that because it really enhances our relationship when we're together, as you said. So in terms of your new venture,
Yes.
the distillery, how did that come about?
It's we've been in fintech for a long time. We've had a couple of very successful exits, and we were looking at something that was a little bit different. Nikki and I have a rule generally that don't enter an industry unless you're prepared to change it. And I think there are so many copycat business owners that just think, oh, it works for them, that it can work for us.
Yes.
The spirits industry is incredibly competitive, and I wouldn't ever suggest people maybe go quite as gung-ho as we have, but we always think if we're doing it, we need to do it properly, and we're 100% committed to doing something. We thought actually a lot of the people in the spirits industry come from a place of it being a hobby, so they turn their hobby into a business, but they're not necessarily business people. They don't have the capital behind them, they're dependent on others to fund the business. And we thought if we came into an industry as competitive it is, but actually could invest in something to make it interesting and a proper brand that people loved, but also come at it very much from a business angle. We're very much marketeers in many respects. We love creating brands and promoting brands, and that is the exciting thing for us. We get excited by not really knowing what we're doing, which is a bit of an odd thing to say, but I think our sort of ignorance almost is a bit of a superpower in businesses like this, because we don't come and say, oh, at 20 years at this big brand we did it like this. Our naivety really is sort of, we just think, well, why can't we go this way? Some people go round and round and we go straight through, and you think actually that's an opportunity just to do different things in the market. So we decided to invest in it. We ended up taking ownership of the business from a majority perspective, and now we're running it every day, and it's very, very different. Not like telco, not like fintech, totally different market. But it's really, really fun. and it's nice to have a business. When people talk about excitement in business, you do have to love it. Otherwise, it's too tough. If it felt like a job and it felt like a chore, you couldn't sacrifice things in the way that we would do. But we come from a fintech world. When people say, oh, what do you do for business? Say, I'm in fintech. They're a bit like, oh, great, boring. When you say we own a rum distillery, we produce 1 million bottles a year, okay, this is quite exciting. All of a sudden you can prick their interest in a way that fintech never did,
That's so true. But the way I describe your fintech journey is when I try and explain it to my friends that, friends of ours are in this space and they sold their business, but you've got still you're still running part of the business in Ireland, and hopefully growing globally and expanding and scaling. Is that imagine you got a payment to do to Amazon, you buy 5 different items,
that's it,
and you do one payment to Amazon, and then
you split the money.
So how do they split the money? That's exactly what you do. So that's how I try and make sense of what you do. But what I'm really interested in, and I'm sure that in leaders, anyone in business, entrepreneurship, young people that are interested in creating brands and also marketing, can we just delve a little bit deeper into what, if you could give me 3 to 5 steps on how do you create a brand from A to B? I would love to learn that too.
Yeah, I think the first thing, and it is a common misconception, is that hiring tons of external people is the best way to grow a brand. Inevitably there will be people with some very specific expertise that might be able to help you. I think passion needs to come with it. You can never expect anyone to feel as passionate about your business as you do. And if you don't feel passionate about it, don't do it. You have to feel passionate, otherwise it is going to become too challenging for you. I think putting yourself as that sort of as the root of all marketing, you have to come from that background, but you will always be the most passionate person to represent your business. So I always hate businesses that say, the guy's got a great idea, but this is the person that's fronting it. We're going to get a PR company to do it. So feel passionate and get involved in some of that marketing activity yourself. Another common misconception is that by spending tons and tons of money, that's the way that you can generate great brands. Some of the most incredible campaigns are the ones that cost the least money. Guerrilla marketing tactics, stunts, different things that you can do to try and promote your brand. I see so many people that just think if we pay 20 grand here, 50 grand there to be at this event, sponsor this award, sponsor this initiative, that they feel like that's almost a kind of golden ticket to success. And often it can be very cash intensive with very few results. So, try and think a little bit differently. You've got to try and go against the grain and not just do everything everything that everybody else is doing. Look at what your competitors doing and think, how could we do something a little bit different to try and promote the business and get that sort of exposure? So I think, try and create ideas that are unique, and definitely use cheaper guerrilla marketing activities to go something a little bit different. There's lots of ways to promote a brand, but I would say the product has to be good as well. In our industry, when I look at the spirits industry, there's some people with very interesting brands but really poor quality products. Equally, there's some very great quality products but very poor brand. So if you put a brand out there, always make sure that your product is good as well, because the varnish of a brand will quickly fade away if the product is very poor. So get your product right, get your kind of unique strategy right, and be all in. You are the passionate person. You really need to drive that forward yourself as a business owner, I would say. And it's not unique to the spirits industry, actually. That's the same for our other businesses. It's even though the industries are totally different, fintech and distillery ownership, the approach that we've had to business and building brand and marketing is very much the same. They're mutually exclusive, but the strategy can be very similar, even though the product is very different.
That's incredible. That's very useful information, actually. Avnish and I recently went on a Tony Robbins finance and business mastery courses. We've been on this personal development journey, and I'm always fascinated about marketing and innovation and great raving fans. And there was one more, I can't remember what it is, but it's like, how do you keep on innovating, and you're doing that in that space, so that you, even for yourself as a person, how do you innovate yourself so that you can create new and different businesses? So how do you do that? How do you innovate in your businesses?
Well, complacency is a killer. So you should never be complacent about anything. And I think complacency about your position in the market, complacency about your success, complacency about customers being with you, I think you should almost imagine like everything is at risk, really, in some respects, because you've got to try hard. For us, innovation has been at the very centre of everything we do. And I think, going back to that mantra around not being interested in a business industry unless we're prepared to change it, that's really important for us. So when we look at fintech, for example, innovation is absolutely key. You have to differentiate on products. So, half of our business would be focused on building innovative products, half of the people in our business.
I see.
And that's when you look at most people, not just generally, but in our sector too, that's a very disproportionate investment, but it's so important. And same with the distillery business as well. People would think making rum is just a process thing. You just have to run the process. But we're always thinking about products that give us difference in the market. How can we build a product that people will love, that nobody's doing at the moment, just to give us that competitive edge? So we've taken that very much, that sort of innovation mindset, and implemented that within the distillery business as well. We're always... There was this phrase that someone used for me, and it was in the recession of 2008. In the boom, you build products for the bust, and in the bust, you build products for the boom. And that's a really interesting mantra, in that the distillery sector, spirits generally, is in a bust at the moment. But we're thinking of products for when the boom comes. The industry changes, and when the industry changes, you see that bust before you see the boom again. So you've got to constantly innovate and think of products not just to serve your customers today, but what do your customers want next year, the year after, 5 years from now? That's where you need to put your investment.
Anticipation.
Yeah, that's it. And having that foresight. And I think, as I say, that never being complacent is so important. Just because you're successful today, it doesn't guarantee your success in 5 years. You've got to be thinking about the business that you want to become.
And how has AI impacted your business, or how has it supported you?
It's unavoidable now. I think anyone that's saying AI won't change my business probably is naive. Frankly, it's going to change everybody's business to a degree. If I look even at ways that we're using that for impact at the moment, so about 20% of the software that we write in Ireland now for our Irish business, although we're globalising that business again, around 20% of the software that we code is written by AI. So it's effectively given us, if we have a team of 10 people, it's giving us another 20% of effort, more people, bums on seats, because it's effectively writing code, that learning from the stuff that we've already written. In the distillery sector, tougher, no real AI angle just yet. But we will definitely be using it for customer contact. We're using it for some of our marketing, in fact. So challenge that we always have is producing lots of different lifestyle imagery for people using our products. most of that now we produce by AI. We don't do big photo shoots and things anymore. We have the bottles 3D rendered, and we use AI environments to kind of create lifestyle images as if people are enjoying our spirit, and actually they're AI generated. So it's not changing our rum, but it's definitely changing the way that we market it. And I think it's only going to carry on more. It's an incredible innovation if used in the right way.
Yes, if used in the right way, absolutely, which is the key here.
It really is. Yeah.
And let's see how the future unfolds. Very near future, I would say months.
Yeah, it is.
It's moving at such an exponential.
It's not a horizon development now. Things are happening now, and I feel like every month we're seeing kind of really interesting AI innovation that will change businesses. You've got to embrace it. Just accept that there's change coming, like anything really. But when something like that is such a cultural shift within business, you either ignore it and it kills you, or you embrace it and it can make you grow. And that's we're definitely trying to lean in the second camp.
I love that. That's great, and I support you on your view on that one. Giving back. Yes. Philanthropy has been a lovely journey with you and Nicole, joining the Life Changers Circle, and the journeys that we've done together, the trips, the celebrations, the fundraising events has been just wonderful. And I want to welcome you on that journey of philanthropy, and hopefully we'll do lots more philanthropy together, because it's quite a unique space to be in. Firstly, we're fortunate to all give. I never say give back, because you've got to take in order to give back. So I say to give, to serve. What else have you been up to in your philanthropy journey?
For us, we came from a place, we don't, as I said before, we don't come from having money. And I think this is a story that will probably bore you, because you've heard me talk about it lots of times when we've been at events.
Our listeners will love this.
So for us, we always felt like when we had cash, and when we had the opportunity to do more from a philanthropic perspective, it was an obligation, not something that we felt like we should do. It was something like we had to do. We felt like it was an obligation, really. Helping was just such a big part of our journey, and trying to do more for the people that are just less fortunate, and they could do with our help, and we can help them. The reason we went down the Life Changer Circle route, and that was our opportunity to meet yourself and Avnish. We love what Caldwell Children are doing in terms of covering, John will cover the overhead of the charity, so every pound you give is going to help good causes. But for us, it was our introduction. We're at a different stage than most. We're still very much in the business. So we don't have the time just yet to commit to doing all the things we want. And we have big aspirations around a homeless charity and other things that Nikki and I talk about more than you'd ever imagine, frankly. And that for us is our aspiration, is that we carry on doing what we're doing from a philanthropic perspective, but long term, we'd love to be more front and centre from a homeless charity perspective. It's a big thing for Nikki and I. And we do a lot separately to Life Changers to help those too. That's a big thing. But the bit that I always talk about from a philanthropy perspective is our definition of success. I talk about this a lot. When we were starting in business together, we had no money. I think that's a very real thing. And I know there's, lots of people would say your definition of no money is different, but Nikki and I, even before we were a couple together, would often eat together because it was cheaper to cook one bigger meal than it would be to kind of eat separately at home. We didn't have money, and we were trying to live hand to mouth to try and grow a business while supporting a family and all of those things as well. It wasn't easy. And our definition of success then was very much around, like most people's would be, material items. Houses, cars, holidays, all the things that you can do, that money gives you, that flexibility and opportunity. And then when we have all those things, and don't get me wrong, we're so happy, we have lovely homes, we have beautiful cars, lots of them. But I always use this comparison, we have cars in our garage I've not driven for 12 months, they just sit on trickle charge. For us then, our definition of success was those material items. Now that we have all of those things, that they are fulfilling, but they're not as fulfilling as you think, really, as you hope they would be when you have nothing. You think that's the finish of what you want to do. So for us, our definition of success has really changed. Our children will be fine. They will always have the support that they need. They will never want for anything, really. So we are in a place where we could do more. So our definition of success now is our opportunity to do more, to give and help others, really. Philanthropy is now our definition of success. So the reason we're still working 7 days a week and traveling the world to try and get the businesses going is so we can do more, actually. And it's not about another car, another Aston Martin, another Bentley, another Ferrari.
Yes.
It's not. Those things are lovely to have, and don't get me wrong, we're not going to go and sell everything. So but we love all of those things. But actually, our definition now is how much more can we do to help, and that's really our definition of success. And it's changed a lot over the last couple of years. There are lots of incredible byproducts of philanthropy. We gave to our children purely for the children. There was no other backstory or any other reason that we'd want to try and do what we were doing. We have through that met incredible friends, like yourself and Avnish and the other people as part of Life Changers, and lots of other people connected to the events that we've been at. We've actually met some lifelong friends, and we never imagined that was an incredible byproduct of something. And it just goes to show, actually, if you put yourself out there and go on that journey of giving more, how many other incredible benefits you can get as part of that.
It bounces back at you.
It does.
It does. When you give, you actually, they say in giving, it's in the giving that you receive.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And we never really imagined that. It was never our driver from a personal or a business perspective. But in both cases, we've met some incredible friends. We're doing business with people we've met. And I think doing charity for business is the wrong motivation. But if it happens to be an incidental byproduct, then that's a great result. But, we will treasure the friendships that we've created, because the great thing about it is you strip away a lot of the things that you worry about when you meet friends. You're not friends with that person for the money. We've always worried about when people are trying to get close to us, do they want something from us? But it strips that away, because typically most of the people in those groups are successful anyway. But you also know they're good people. They're giving back, and they're doing more for charitable causes. So by kind of knowing that people are like that, you get around whether they're good people or not. You know that they're doing well, and that's important to us. We want to be friends with nice people. That's important.
No, I so agree with you and Nicole, and we're here to support you on that journey.
Absolutely.
And we hope that you keep building your businesses so you can give more, and
that's the plan.
Really change the world and find your passion projects that fire you up every day, which I'm sure you do. You both must wake up. Like, what's the morning ritual for you guys? Is there something special that you're doing that's keeping you going?
We are quite a romantic couple. It's I'm sure most people talk about us and see us and think, oh, it must be fake. Like, we going behind the door and argue and kick and punch each other, but we really don't. We're just very loving as a couple. So every morning we always go to bed together. We always pretty much always get up together. Very, very rarely. If I'm working early, I might get up maybe an hour before Nicole, but in the most we would go to bed and get up together. Every morning we always hug. That's the start of the day. We always hug. And at the moment, we always will gym and swim every morning now. So we go and have a swim, get ready for the day, and then we will have breakfast together and often go and do our own sort of work things then. Same business, but, we would have separate studies, or, I might be at one of the offices and Nick will be at home. But typically 90% of the time we're together. And then we'll talk all the way through the day as well. So we don't... there's lots of couples that are together living an independent life, and our life, because we work together, is very much intertwined, every aspect of it. So we would always be working and living together. So our ritual is never. I have admiration for those people that can allocate the time for sort of mindfulness in the morning. I think there's lots of value in that, but we're kind of very quickly at it, up early, quick gym or swim, and then we're on the case, and that might be the case until late, depending on what we've got on. But we do try and find some time to sort of be together and enjoy life generally. We holiday now. In the telecoms business we worked in that for 8 years. I never had a holiday. And when we went again and we did net pay, we started that in 2012. Nikki said, we can go again, but one condition this time, we're going to holiday. I said, I don't know. And it got me first. We went to Cyprus for a few days, literally 3 days. Now I love a holiday. I would
Yes,
try
good.
any reason. In fact, we're holidaying together next year as well with you. But we love that opportunity, and actually our best ideas for the business. Yeah, I think what we've learned, very valuable for me, is working on your business and not in your business is incredibly important.
Very important,
and having holidays, kind of sunbed ideas, you're sitting there for a minute and you've got nothing to think about how lovely that sun is and how lovely that sea sounds. The ideas really start flowing, and that's so valuable. Some of our most successful things that we're working on right now have come from ideas that we've had whilst we've been on holiday.
Yes, and the inspiration you get as well.
Oh, so much.
From seeing others and how they're doing that and learning from others too.
Absolutely.
Carl, any books that you read, any books you can recommend?
If I'm honest, I haven't, I'm not a big reader. Only when I'm on holiday do I read, because I find my attention is always elsewhere when I'm at home. And also when I'm on holiday, I have read a lot of factual business books. I also like to try and read just totally random fiction books, because in a way, when we're having that break and I'm getting the opportunity to read, I almost want to take my mind away from the business for the moment, just to try and read something silly, a book about murder or something totally different. Because I love those people that sit there and say, here's my top 10 business books. I have admiration for them, but when I get the opportunity to read a book, actually I'm not in the business, and the last thing I really want to do is think about the business. So I try and read just nonsense fiction just to sort of amuse myself and take myself away from the busy day to day.
And why not? No, I so agree with you to do that. A good fiction book, nothing beats that. In terms of what's next for you both, what's the future? What's the plans for the future now for you and Nicole?
Well, as crazy as it sounds, kind of busier really. So the Irish business, the Irish business was left. We sold a group of companies, and the Irish business was left after we sold that group. That was nearly over 3 years ago now. So the Irish business is now expanding back into the UK and other places. We've also got a big deal where we're doing a lot more with banking customers from that Irish base as well. So I'd see some really significant growth. We'll probably add 100 people in the next 12 months in that business. There's a lot going on there. The rum business, it's a startup effectively. We've been going now for nearly a year, sort of 9-10 months. So still very early days, but the momentum is building. It's hard work. So we're definitely not calming down. We've made a promise to ourselves by the end of 2026. We're not going to be working like we are now. And that will be setting everything up, getting through these ideas, and then hopefully putting really great people in to run them. We have great people in that business already. That's why it's been successful. But we want to get to a place where we can start turning it down a little bit, because it is intense. But we're going to go, all gung-ho till the end of next year, and then start turning down a little bit.
You're the most ambitious couple that I've met, honestly, and
still so much to do.
The dynamic duo who just love life and love being together, and that's really something special, especially in this day and age. So
it is.
Thank you, Carl, for joining me today and sharing so much. It's just been incredible hearing your whole journey, and I've learned so much more. And I can't wait to go away together on our next holiday, all of us, to enjoy the great things in life as well that we work so hard for.
Yeah, that's your rewards. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Carl.